All right, welcome back to another Brandon-less episode of MMA Breakdowns and Bets. I've got a special guest, and he's way more special than Brandon. I don't know if you're quite as special as Casey O'Neill. I think you might be, but I'm only saying that because she watches this, and if I say anything other than, she will probably attack me. So we've got Clint over from the Die Hard MMA podcast. He is always putting out bets and picks. We'd love to see you on here. Brandon's still gone for a couple more days. Clint, it is great to have you, and glad you're breaking down bets with me.
Hey, I appreciate the invite. I am super excited. It is very tough backing up Casey on the last episode. That was a fantastic episode. Everybody was all excited about Brandon retiring so we could have Casey every week on the show. And, now I'm filling in. So you're trending downhill, buddy. Like I put out bets, but they're not good ones.
Well, man, so Casey was on last week, and she was like, hey, if you want me to do this full time, I'm in. And I was like, yeah, I'm your Huckleberry. And then the very next day, Brandon's like, oh, I'm back. I'm coming back. And I was like, you asshole. I said, we talked about this. Like, I told you, just take a couple weeks off, go rest, relax. And he had to go full drama queen. And here we are. So
He's such a teenager, man. Like, that's his whole thing about as soon as it wasn't work, he's like, as soon as I realized I don't have to do it, now it's fun again. It's like, you child. Like, I'm damn near 40. Like, he's got to work that out of his system. Grow up.
I know. I hope he does, man. I hope he does. Well, before we even get going, I want you to tell people where they can find you. Give us your YouTube, give us your socials. Where are you at?
I appreciate that. Everything
Absolutely.
is at Die Hard MMA Pod. I'm on every social media platform. I'm on YouTube. And actually, that's kind of the big thing right now. I've been doing my podcast for about 6 years.
Has it been 6 years?
It's been 6 years.
Holy
like I said,
shit.
I'm old. So it's been 6 years. And it's crazy because I'm out on my own for the first time. Since I started my podcast, I got to like maybe 1,500 followers on my own YouTube page. And then I got picked up. And I have been hopping from host channel to host channel to host channel. I've always had a sponsor. I've never built my own platform.
Okay.
So I'm starting ground up 6 years in. And it's crazy because my numbers like nosedive. People are still like finding me every other week. Someone's like, oh my God, I found you. It's like, so all my viewers are scattered to the winds, but I'm at Die Hard MMA Pod everywhere. You guys can find me just by Die Hard MMA.
Awesome. You guys go follow, go like, go subscribe, whatever the term is for whatever platform it is, go do it. Man, we've got what fight card do we have coming up this week? We've got
106.
Yeah, where is this at? Is this an Apex card?
Yeah, Apex card. We're in Vegas this week.
Which is the most miserable place this is where humanity goes to die, and it's the Apex. Like, it is the soulless. You always hear me talking about it on the podcast because I hate it. I hate being there. Like, you have these amazing fighters at the top of the sport. I mean, could you imagine the NFL playing in a high school, field with 12 people in the stands?
Nah, even during COVID, they still did it on a stadium field and just pumped the crowd noise in. It's like, it's almost that level.
It's so bad at the Apex. And it's just, I've had so many fighters just walk out and look around like, what the shit is going on? Like, there's no people. Like, are we sparring? Like, what's going on? And I hate it, but the Apex is there, and I believe they're going to start phasing it out. I don't know the details on that, but I'm hoping they do. I can't wait for
Dana keeps saying it, but I mean, he's been talking about phasing it out for 2 years now, man. Like,
I'm curious to see what happens because the ESPN deal is coming to a close.
And they're hiking the damn prices.
Yes. And one of the things with the Apex is it was very easy to get fights, because part of it was like, all right, you have to have this many fights. And then each card had to have a certain amount of fights for it to count. So they had to have like 7 or 8 fights. I forget the number. And a few times I almost dipped below that, and matchmakers went nuts and whatever. But I'm curious, the new deal, the rumors are that it might be Netflix. And I'm curious if they are going to allow Apex shows, or if it's like, no, you have to do stadium shows or crowd shows basically, or not. I'm curious. I'm curious to see that. I hope there's some clause in there that says like, no, Apex shows don't count, but we'll see.
I'm not the guy with the bag of money, but if I was the Netflix exec, that would be the move. Be like, you get one Apex card per quarter, and be like, that's part of the deal, man, because the fans obviously enjoy it more when there's real legitimate crowd noise. The fighters fight better when they're in front of people, and yeah, man.
Well, I think the Apex, that's Contender. Like we have Contender there. Like that's not UFC. Like you haven't made it to the UFC yet. You're in Contender. Yeah, exactly. Like that is what the Apex is for. And that's what it was made for. Tough and Contender. And then with COVID, it got transitioned into an actual venue. Which it was great for what it was, and it did an amazing job serving the purpose that it served. We're over it now. COVID's gone. Yeah. Let's go back to grown folk shit.
Absolutely. No, I could not agree with you more on that. It's definitely time. But, especially speaking of this card, since, you're going to love this one because there are no less than 3 women's MMA fights in the Apex. So this is your kind of card.
It's funny because I saw that and I was like, well, there's 3 fights I'm not taping. I hope Clint knows this shit because if anybody's ever watched a show of ours, I'm not watching. I'm not watching film on it.
You called the right guy because I'm the degenerate that I talk way too long about women's MMA fights. I'm so happy because I know your whole thing is you guys like to ramble on the show for a good 40 minutes and then spend about 15 breaking down the fights.
Yeah.
I'll cover you on the women's MMA because I do that on my show. I go off on tangents and everyone's like, Clint, shut up already. Get to the main event. And I'm like, no. I need to talk more about this.
The first fight of the night
MMA
is a women's fight. We're both 0-7 in the UFC. I'm going for 7 hours on it. I like it. And then before we get going actually into the show is UFC 315. What are your thoughts? What'd you think?
You know what? My heart was broken because I am one of the few Bilal fans in the world.
They make them? You're the
one?
They
do. Believe it or not.
I thought that was a discontinued model. I thought that was... Okay.
I told you I'm old, man. I'm outdated here. No,
all right.
I just thought it was too much too soon for Jack. And I said as much on my show. I was like, I like the kid. I think he'll be a champion one day. I just don't think it's this weekend, And I'll be honest with you, I think Bilal came in a little cocky. Like he was gyrating his hips on the way up to the octagon, and like he was feeling himself, talking about how he's not going to shoot takedowns and he's going to box this guy up. I'm like, I think he kind of started to actually believe that stuff a little bit, and he might have looked past Jack to some extent. Either way, finding out that it was 2-2 going into 5 was crazy. I tweeted live after round 1 because just watching it, I was like, holy crap, did Bilal actually just win round 1 striking against Jack Della? The amount of flack I got for that post. And then it turns out 2 of the judges actually did give him round 1. So I was like, really? Oh, okay. So I'm not crazy, but the fight was, it was a little bit closer on paper than it was watching it at the end of the day. I thought it was a fun main event. I'm excited for Jack. The women's co-main event going 25 minutes as expected. The Aldo robbery, Natalia going 25. Like I warned everybody, man. I was like, look, the undercard is going to be a banger and the main card is going to be boring and slow as molasses.
Yep.
So I was kind of prepared going in for that. Little bit of a letdown, I'd say, as far as, shelling out $70 or whatever it is these days for a pay-per-view card. But the undercard made it worth it, I would say. That was a fun free ride.
Was phenomenal. We had a guy, Korean Tiger, on there, and he ended up losing to Daniel Willie Cat.
Yeah.
And man, he had a big adrenaline dump. Like he hadn't fought in a while, and Willie Cat hadn't fought in a while either. But KT doesn't run camp with us full time, so he was only with us for 3 weeks. And so I think just the high level sparring, the high level stuff, like he didn't really have that at home, whereas Willie Cat's probably getting that day in and day out, even though he hadn't fought for a long time. I think he's probably training with higher level people on a regular basis than KT is back in Korea. And it's crazy because Korean Tiger's actually, he is phenomenal. Like you guys wouldn't, watching him fight, you wouldn't realize how good he is in the gym. And in the gym, the guy is as good as anybody in any discipline. Like he's really good. And then you get that adrenaline dump in between rounds where you're talking to him like, hey, how are you feeling? And he just silence, just didn't say a word. And, the adrenaline got him, but I think he's going to move here full time and kind of make the move. So that way he's doing that.
Nice. No, I had an under in that fight. I can't believe someone didn't get finished.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's kind of crazy. I'm somewhat surprised that as well, considering the way that these guys fought and the way that the fight went. And I don't think anybody was even close to being finished. It was very competitive fight, very close. Hats off to Willie Cat, short notice going up a weight class. So, and then hats off to Jack Della. Like he's probably my favorite MMA fighter in the world to watch right now. And I'm glad he won. I actually, on the podcast, I said that I thought he was going to win because I thought he was going to be the aggressor. And I think we're overvaluing Leon, and we really have seen Leon kind of take a step back and really not do a lot anymore. Whereas Jack is not that guy where Jack is going out there and fighting and forcing the fight. And I think a lot of people thought Bilal should have wrestled more. I think that was the consensus. But I think what people maybe he should have. Maybe he absolutely should have wrestled more. Maybe he put a little bit too much into his hands. Maybe. But I really think that Jack's movement, his lateral movement, and the way that he throws and the way that he boxes, I think that really disrupts. Like, you want to shoot. Like, if anybody has ever wrestled a day in their life, like, if I just shoot blindly on you, you're going to stop it. Like, I don't want to shoot on you. Like, it's scary. Like, it's just in straight wrestling. Like, I don't want your hips hitting my head. And then in fighting, if the shot's not there, you're like, man, if I shoot, I'm going to get murdered if I screw this up. And you're trying to find the moment to shoot. And if somebody's just slightly off to your left or right, and they're just bobbing and a jab touches and it just is weird, it's an off rhythm and you're not comfortable doing it. And if you screw it up, you're going to get hurt significantly. And so I think Bilal absolutely should have tried to wrestle more just right off the go. But I also think that he probably would have if the shot seemed more available to him. And you see that a lot of people shoot, even really good wrestlers. Somebody shoots early, and if somebody just stuffs a shot and gets out of there and bails, like, they don't shoot much anymore. But if they shoot and somebody lets them push them to the cage and they kind of hang out there and they're comfortable there, even if they don't get the takedown, they'll shoot again and again. But if you just stuff it and go and move and this and that, and you're just like, whoa, that's not there, you kind of panic a little bit. So I think Bilal maybe could have fought a different fight, but I think Jack just fought the perfect fight, considering the situation. So
I couldn't have been more impressed, man, especially coming off of the Burns fight where he gave up so many takedowns and stuff like that. I feel like Jack made massive improvements, and just the game plan was perfect. And kind of the way he was like, they were talking about it on the broadcast, how he would like dip and shell up. So like when Bilal would fake and go for the takedown, it's like he's running into forearms and elbows instead of running into legs and hips down there. That is, it just worked, and like I said, it ended up, it was closer than people want to admit that it was, but it just was perfect. He did fantastic, and I was really impressed with the way he managed that entire fight and the fact that he did it for 25 minutes. I'm always skeptical when these guys get their first 25-minute fight. Yeah,
it was crazy. 25 minutes with Bilal, who's a solid 25-minute fighter.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into this week's card. We've got our first fight of the night is Luana Pinheiro against Tecia, formerly Torres, now Pennington, at 115 pounds. Let me look at the fight odds, fightodds.io. Luana Pinheiro is plus 275 and Tecia is minus 350. Do you agree with those odds? And how do you think this fight's going down?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of do. On one hand, I do. On one hand, I don't. It is really tough for Pennington to ever be massive chalk just because of the way she fights. She always ends up going to decision. She doesn't finish people very often. It's a lunch pail type of style. She just works in there, and you get those rogue judges. I mean, shit, some dude gave Modestas Pakauskas 30-27 last weekend. So you never know what they're going to see in that kind of a spot. So it's hard to say that she should be big chalk, but man, between you and me, and I try not to be super disrespectful of fighters. Obviously, I'm a couch jockey. I never made it past blue belt. I'm an overweight dad bod, so like I can't say anything to these professional
athletes. Who's your blue
athletes.
Belt from?
It's from Scott Tenenbaum here in Arizona, TNT MMA.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah. So Arizona boy, like I said. Short tangent. I started training there in college after watching a couple seasons of The Ultimate Fighter. And he actually was like really complimentary of me. I got to start doing like the advanced classes and stuff like that. And I was a young, dumb kid that, I was like an athlete in high school. So I was like on the varsity football team early and all that kind of stuff. So when the coach was like complimentary of me in jiu-jitsu, I just kind of thought, yeah, like, of course I'm awesome. Like, why wouldn't I be good? And then looking back on it these days, I'm like, oh shit. Like I had a legitimate like high level black belt coach being like, dude, you're good at this. And I was just like, sweet, and like ran
Yeah.
out the door. I didn't even give it a second thought. I could have been something in jiu-jitsu, but I went off and did, college career path. I trained at Power MMA and Fitness for a couple of years down there with Vader and all those guys. And then I completed my pilgrimage when it finally got to the point that I was like, you know what? Like I can't be doing jiu-jitsu off and on my whole life and not get something. Like I gotta go get my blue belt.
Nice.
So I went back and signed back up with my old coach and made sure I got it before I stepped away for a while. So I'm a disappearing blue belt anyway.
Okay. Hey, man. It's like disappearing ink. You just need the right thing and it shows back up.
Yeah. No, I plan on going back to it. I've got a young daughter. I'm going to get her going in jiu-jitsu for self-defense and stuff like that. So I'll get back to it. It just, patch of my life I couldn't. Anyway, back to back to Luana here. Man, she's a quitter. Like that's all it comes down to for me. The fake TKO against Randa Marcos, where she acted like she was hurt and her boyfriend scooped her up off the floor and carried her out, Superman style.
A bad look.
It was so bad. I mean, and I was using the example, last week. Obviously, it's completely different from like what we saw with Marc-Andre Barrios and Bruno Silva, right? Like, but that's what happens when someone's actually hurt. When the doctor's yo, get in here.
Yeah, somebody's better show up. People are dying.
They stretcher you. Like, they get you to the hospital. Like, he scooped her up and they let him walk out the back door. It's like, that's not happening if you're actually hurt. So, yeah. Bad luck. And then also getting submitted by Angie Hill. I love Angie Hill. No one gets submitted by Angie Hill. So it's a rough run that she's on. She's on an 0-3 skid right now. Her only win was retirement Michelle Watterson by split. Like, she's good for one round, man. She's got 4 or 5 minutes in her, and then she falls off a cliff. I think Tecia's just going to work her.
I think you're right with Tecia's going to work her, but do you think she finishes her? Because Tecia is not a wild finisher either. She's in there and she does a lot. She kind of reminds me of like a little female Clay Guida. Like a lot is going on, but there's not necessarily like a lot of fight occurring and like power, and she's not submitting people and just doing damage. She's there. And then you have Luana, who give her a reason to quit and she will.
Yeah.
I just don't know that Tecia, I think Tecia's pressure and volume is going to win her the rounds and win her the fight. But I don't know if it's going to be enough to get Luana to quit. And so I think we're probably looking at a longer fight. I mean, it's women's MMA. I mean, like go over 2.5 and you're probably winning 90% of fights.
That's exactly how I feel about it too. I do think it's like 90% Tecia by decision. I will probably talk myself into sprinkling the Torres round 3 if it's a half decent number, just because, Luana's back is against the wall here. We could see her go, balls to the wall early in the fight and then have just nothing left at the end of round 3. And Tecia will take it if it's on a silver platter, but you've got to be just completely done. So probably decision. If the number's good, I might sprinkle round 3. But yeah, Tecia by decision, and I don't hate the chalk, honestly.
Okay. All right. Next up, we've got I have to say these words. Hyun Sung Park against Carlos Hernandez. And the odds over at Fight Odds are Carlos Hernandez plus 150 and Park is minus 175. And I think that's probably a fair spread on this. Man, it's weird because Carlos is so good. He's so good. He's so hard to do stuff to. The issue with Carlos, for me anyway, is his defense is phenomenal. Just I don't know where his offense is. And he touches people and he does a lot and he defends well. And we saw him with Ray Saruya honestly, like get a beautiful slam takedown on him early and then, of course, get reversed and then get kind of hung on. And actually, Ray is with us right now over at Fight Ready. I think he's with us for a month or two. So he's over there and he's actually in videos on the fights. He looks kind of like almost Tetsura body, tall, skinny, lean. This dude looks like Brandon. He's like 5'4" and as wide as SpongeBob. And I'm like, what? Like you do not like this does not match up with what I was expecting. Super nice guy. But Carlos, again, I mean, his defensive scrambling wrestling is some of the best there is. He has great cardio. He does all the right stuff. you take him down, he pops back up. He does all of the right stuff. And then on the other side, you have Park, who I think is very decent everywhere. We saw Kaibi in the road to UFC take him down, and Kaibi was one of Zombie's guys who came out with us quite a bit for numerous camps. And Kaibi took him down, and Kaibi was winning that fight until Park realized, whoa, I'm in trouble here. I have to win. And then he just slid around to the back, jumped on it, and finished the choke. But the thing with Park is that two things. One, he knows how to win, but two, he damages. He hurts people. I like his power. I like his moments, and I think it's going to be a very close fight. But I think the big moments of Park are going to win him the fight, because I don't know that Carlos will wrestle people if you wrestle him, and he will swing if you swing on him, but he's very reactive. And I think Park is going to dictate the fight, and I think he's going to have the bigger moments. And I think because of that, and I think the UFC knows, like, one of the judges actually told me this on a trip one time. We were overseas, and we were talking about like the judging and how it goes. And I was talking about, like, man, some of these judges are crazy. Like, people think they're being paid off, blah, 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 blah. And he said, look, no judges are being paid off. He's like, it's not a thing. He's like, but he's like, look, when people get first class airfare to other countries and are put up in really nice hotels, they know who the A side is. They don't have to be told. And if you keep judging against the A side, well, you don't get flown across the world on first class in nice hotels with per diem and put up like that. And that's the thing here is I think the UFC knows who the A side is. And when things are close, I mean, look at Jared Gordon and Patty. I think everyone on the planet thought, Gordon won that fight. And it was close enough to where the judges could say, my point of view, I think Patty won it. And I don't think anyone from the UFC is crying about it. And I think we're going to see that here. I think Park gets a close decision, and I like him for the win.
Hey, I just cashed an Eamon Zahabi ticket this past weekend. So, I mean, sometimes you got to get that home cooking going, and you got to be aware of it. Yeah, man, this line was a little bit tighter earlier in the week. I say earlier in the week like it wasn't just a day ago. It opened up a little closer to pick them. So some money's come in on Park, and I'm with you. I think Park's the right side here. And also, I just think Carlos Hernandez is fish in the barrel for these guys. Look at the last couple fights. It's Tatsuro, it's Ray, it's Narmajargal, and now they're getting Park in there. Like, this guy pissed off some Asian CEO at the Paigao table, and they've got him going up against every single one of them now. I think the big thing with Carlos Hernandez to me, I always say, is he doesn't seem physical enough for me.
Yeah.
He works real well off his back. You mentioned the scrambles. He's real quick. He's real good. He can wrestle too, actually. He's good at wrestling. And the cardio, he can go all day. I think he's a 25-minute fighter. If you lock the cage door, only one person's leaving, Carlos might be the guy walking out at the end of the day. But in a 15-minute fight against some of these guys that are just strong enough to hold him down for 2 rounds and then survive round 3, kind of like Ray did in their fight, that he's going to, I really just think Park's probably going to win 29-28. And then, like you mentioned, he does bring his offense. He does hit hard. So those type of moments, I think they'll swing close rounds his way.
Yeah, I think Carlos needs some weightlifting and steroids. From a coach. No, I'm just kidding. Like, I'm gonna get flamed over here for that. But no, I always joke. I feel like our team is the only team who's
fight ready.
Yeah, I feel like our guys are the only guys who aren't juiced up and EPO'd out. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, at some point, do we just all start throwing needles in our neck, like mid sparring round or something, just to level the playing field over here? But no, I think you're right.
If you need Carlos... a steroid boy, I'll come to the gym and I'll just walk around and
done. Just start IVing people up.
That's right.
All right, next up, who is next? We've got Denise Gomes, and Elise Reed. And you got to carry, man. You got to carry. These are two. If I could never watch two people fight again, it would be these two. Watching Elise Reed karate combat her way through some key ops, and then Denise Gomes, Gomes isn't bad. I mean, she's not. I mean, gosh, I don't know if she's not bad or not, but what are your thoughts on this? And hold on. Let me give some odds over here.
Yeah.
So we've got Denise Gomes at minus 550 and Elise Reed at plus 400. So this is a really competitive fight on paper. Like,
Very much.
they think this is going to be a barn burner.
It's going to be a nail biter for sure. No, I think Denise Gomes is going places. She's the A side here, and obviously she's a favorite on the line, and I think that's for a reason. Elise Reed, 32 years old. She does have good, like you mentioned, karate combat. Like, this girl can strike. She's got a nice long one too, the good jab. Like, she moves around well on the feet, but she can't stop takedowns. I mean, when you've got Jessica Panay, who's 47 years old with an OnlyFans, dragging you around the cage with the body lock, like, you're not going to survive against these other girls. And we've seen that, Lupi Godinez, Loma Bunmi, Sam Hughes, anybody who's any half decent, they're pounding this girl out. Like, she does not last against people who are decent. If you mix in the grappling, that's the end of Elise Reed. But Santino, I know you've got your Discord, and I know you guys talk to people. I'm going to give you the secret sauce here, because there's a betting angle that I think only me and my listeners on my podcast are aware of.
All right, tell me this. I'm intrigued.
The number one most profitable betting angle in MMA today is you'd blindly back Brazilian lesbians with neck tattoos.
Done.
You got to have all the boxes checked. Because if she's Brazilian with a neck tattoo, but she likes the men, it doesn't count. There's something about them. They're tougher. They're meaner. And I don't know anybody who can sit and get their neck tatted up right on the freaking middle of your throat. Like, that takes a different amount of,
and a man's
Brandon, hate
haircut
in their heart. Like,
yep.
There's some violence and viciousness there involved. They're not built like the other women are. And Denise Gomes is the one that we kind of spotted with that being some upside here. And I've been riding Gomes to the bank, frankly. And I just think, I think that she's tougher than Elise Reed. She can mix in the grappling if she wants to. She's got nukes in her hands. She hits harder. And she's evolving. The fight with Carolina, I know you didn't watch it, but
they fought?
They fought. Yeah. So Carolina Kovalkovich or KK, whatever. She's always been a smooth operator striking wise. That's kind of been her thing. And Gomes beat her up for 15 minutes. So, like, not only is she just this little monstrous ball of muscle in women's MMA, but now she can go 15 minutes and win a striking fight. So she's actually improving, and she's just 25 years old. Yeah, she's the side for me. I like these.
She's 25. She looks 66.
Yeah.
Like,
she
wow.
Got old man face.
The tattoos will do that to you. All right. We can move right. Shit. We're moving right along into another women's MMA fight. But, man, after this, they're done. This is brutal. All right, now we have Luana Santos.
You're just kicking back, though. It's not that bad.
I know. I'm just hanging out. Like, I'm just waiting. I'm going to go drink some beer. And yeah. And Tainara Lisboa. Lisboa? Can I say that? Is that allowed? Like, I don't even know what that means. But Luana, I know because she fought Casey O'Neill. Casey was supposed to fight somebody else, and then Luana stepped in last minute down in Perth, which is a very forgettable city. Like, if you need to go to Australia, don't go to Perth. Like, that was, okay. I've been in Melbourne, and that was a very nice city, but Perth, oh my gosh. Like, I didn't eat a good meal. It was all the way around the world.
Don't they have those giant ass spiders?
I didn't see any, and I'm glad I didn't, but man, Perth.
You're not catching me anywhere near those things.
Perth was brutal. So, all right, Tainara Lisboa, she is, let's look at the odds over here. She's plus 140, and Luana is minus 160. What do you think about these two ladies fighting for their lives?
So, first off, shout out King Casey O'Neill. For funny story, she actually, I think, blocked me at one point on Twitter. She thought I was being disrespectful, and it was a bit of a misunderstanding. She ended up unblocking me for God knows what reason. So hilarious now that I'm on the show, and hopefully she's listening. Casey,
I'm going to ask her to block you again.
Yeah, just reblock me at this point. No, she cashed big for us in this spot. I bet her, and she was my underdog of the week going into that fight last time out at UFC 305 with Luana Santos. So thank you, Casey. We appreciate it.
Was she a dog against Luana?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No way.
She opened up as the dog. Luana was minus 150 or something like that. And I was like, no.
Was that? I mean, I have the memory of a CTE patient. I mean, I think I was 37 or 30-27 on all cards, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, she beat
I mean,
the
it was
brakes
a
off
complete shutout. Like, I remember her beating her up. I don't remember the cards, but yeah. All right.
No, it was fantastic. It was one of those ones where everyone was kind of giving me shit for it because everyone was off the King Casey train at that point. And so they're all making fun of me for the bet. And then after round one, everybody was like, oh, Okay, good call, man. Like we weren't even waiting for the other two. Like you could just tell the direction it was going. So again, thank you, Casey.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's really tough here because Luana Santos is young, and I know that's always the thing, right? They can improve, they can grow rapidly. So there's a chance that she's getting better at 25 years old, but she struggled to make weight. And if you recall, maybe she blew weight against Stephanie Egger a couple of fights ago. I bet against her that night, thinking that Stephanie would be able to armbar her at some point or something, but she was too fat. She was able to just kind of lay on top of her and bully her around there. Well, now she's moving up to 135. So she's done with 125. The cut was too tough. And it's so funny because I remember your podcast with Brandon clear as day when you guys broke down the Casey O'Neill fight. He was talking about how she's actually getting and staying in shape. So like she's not doing the Patty Pimblett thing where between fights she's blowing up. Like she's actually maintaining, she's in good shape, she's staying on top of it. And now here she is all of a sudden moving up a weight class that I'm like, I think she's throwing in the towel when it comes to staying in shape. And God love our boy C-Rod. Like I'm beating the drum for Christian Rodriguez. He moved up a weight class and it's not going well for him. Like I kind of think that's how this is going to work with this chick here is she's not going to do well at 135 because I don't know if she's doing the road work. She already has sketchy cardio. And if she's not cutting that extra 10 pounds, is she out there running? I don't know. She does judo. And I think judo's a cheat code in women's MMA, man. If you're good at judo.
Jeez, if you can head and arm throw a chick, like no guy on the planet could pay money to be able to drill that on somebody, but women are hitting it at the highest level.
And then you just end up in the most dominant position possible from it. And if they don't know how to defend it, you can do it over and over and over. But she's not that good at it. So she is giving up her back. She's falling over. She's ending up with, a 50-50 position out of it, but she keeps trying it. So I don't think it's a cheat code for her. And then you look at her wins. And she's got Mayra Agapova, who's losing in bare knuckle regional scene fights now. And Juliana Miller, who in that fight was sick as a dog and something was absolutely wrong with her in that fight. So I don't rate her wins at all because the only one that was semi-legitimate she cheated in and came in 10 pounds overweight. Now, Tainara, she's older. That's sketchy. She's coming off a long layoff. She had some sort of a leg injury. I couldn't confirm exactly.
I just got to stop. Age in women's MMA is not the same as men's MMA.
Yes.
Like you see these women in their late 30s not decline the same way. And I don't know if it's just because they're not taking the damage or if they're not as fast to begin with or dynamic. And so like they don't slow as much. I don't know what it is, but we don't see the fall off in women that we do in men.
My theory is that the skill edge in women's MMA is so much more important than men's MMA because you can't make up for it with the speed and the athleticism and the explosive knockout power. The skill edge is really what matters. So when you've got someone like a Holly Holm, just because you're 33 does not mean you're beating Holly Holm because she's better than you everywhere and you can't just bully her. So I think they just hang around longer. And that, that kind of strengthens my argument here in this spot. She's 34. The thing that worries me is her coming off the break, but she's a bully, man. She's physical. She gets in there and gets on top of people. Like the Ravina Oliveira was the chick that she fought last time. She's 7-2. She's 28 years old. And every time they tie it up, like Ravina hit a takedown in the first round, round two, she's on bottom. Like Lisboa started bullying her. It just kind of, she flipped the tables and she's a dog, man. I know she's a little older, but she refuses to quit on herself. And I just don't think that at this stage, Luana Santos has a really well-polished MMA game. It's like she's got a couple of pieces of the puzzle, but she doesn't know how to put them all together. Whereas Tainara Lisboa knows exactly what she's doing and exactly what she's going for. She's my underdog this week, man. I like Tainara Lisboa, and a little bit of money's come in on Santos, so I'm kind of holding here. I haven't pulled the trigger yet. She's plus 140. I like her. I'm going to bet Tainara Lisboa at some point this week.
All right. I like it. Next up, we have a men's featherweight matchup. Connor Matthews and Yadier DelValle. And DelValle... he's climbed even more, is minus 430 to Connor Matthews plus 330. And watching film on this originally, like I never look at odds. Even right now, like I'm looking at the odds probably for the first time because I don't, if I look at odds, then I start to think who's supposed to win. And then I start to think of like, all right, well, they're going to win and whatever. So I want to see like who I think is going to win and by what stretch of a margin, and then I compare that with the odds, and I kind of choose picks that way. But Is it DelValle? What is the hell is his name?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yadier DelValle.
DelValle, yeah. He is listed as a Cuban. And so I was like, oh, he's going to have some Cuban wrestling. But I feel like he's as Cuban as I am Italian or Irish. And so if I start waving an Italian flag around, it's like, well, you're a white guy from New York. Yeah, but
Close enough.
Yeah, like you're not Italian and you're not Irish. You're not from the motherland. And I'm calling Cuban fraud flag on this guy. And like his wrestling is, I mean, he'll grind and he'll drag people down. And after round one, though, I mean, we saw in his Contender Series fight, his jiu-jitsu, I think, is better than his wrestling. Like his back control, doing a lot of the right stuff. So that was good. Round 2 and 3, man, his striking is god awful. And I am not sold. I'm not sold. But then on the other side of that, we've got Connor Matthews, who is I've got to pull up his record really quick. He's 7-3. He lost to Jose Delgado, round 1, TKO. He lost to Bazooka, round 3, TKO. He did beat a 10-0 kid on Contender, which, all right. Beat a 8-4. He's losing to Francis Marshall by decision. And then before his first Contender Series fight, beat a guy who's 1-2, beat Jay Ellis 15-97.
The legend.
2-1, 1-8, 0-7. Like, this guy is a can crusher. And I am very, very, very not sold on him at all. And I'm looking at Connor Matthews. Well, I was looking at DelValle and I was like, oh, Connor Matthews is going to win. This guy's a fraud. And then I start looking at Matthews and I'm like, geez, like, no, DelValle's going to win. Like he's just by not being Connor Matthews, he's going to win. Mm-hmm. And I don't even mean that to be like rude. I'm not trying. I know it is rude. I know it's a rude thing to say, but I'm not saying it to be an asshole. It's just, I am an asshole. And I think Connor just doesn't have power. His hands drop really low in his stance. I don't know. Does he think he's a wrestler or a striker? I don't really know what he's good at. And at least DelValle, like, he's physical. He's going to go out. He's going to grab Connor. He's going to try and drag him down and choke him out or punch him. And just by not being Connor Matthews, I think DelValle wins this.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't say it any better. I think there's going to be a physicality difference here. Yadier is built like a brick shithouse. And he does well in every aspect of the game. I feel like Connor Matthews is less than the sum of his parts. Like it seems like everything he does is good enough. He's not UFC level. Like everything is good. It's solid. He whooped my ass, but you're not.
We see it so many times in the gym where guys are good. We have this kid. He's a young pro. He came to us 1-2, 1-3 when he moved over, and he's won his last fight. And we always talk about like individually, he's very good. He's a good striker. He's good at jiu-jitsu. He's very physical. It's like his wrestling is good. He's really good. And then even in sparring, he gets in there and just has no idea what he's doing. He's like trying to like dance around, then he'll try and Muay Thai it. Then he thinks he's a wrestler. He just has no idea what he's doing and how he's going to win. And that's probably more important than skills is cardio, toughness, and knowing how you're going to win. And I don't know that Connor Matthews has that.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to put it. And I've always been jealous of people that know how to blend that because I got to the point where I was comfortable doing jiu-jitsu. I felt like I was getting really good at it. And then I started going to the MMA classes and I took one liver shot and was like, nope, like get my gi back. Like, yep. So I don't, these guys that blend it all together, I don't get it. And it's impressive as hell. I just think he's not long for the UFC, man. That's all it comes down to. His only good win was that kid on Contender Series, and everybody else he's fought has not been that great. So I think it's Yadier. I think Yadi's just going to hit him with something big at some point. He's got a tight squeeze on him too. Don't rule out like a club and sub guillotine or something like that. Totally think that's possible, but I think he finishes him, frankly.
Yeah, I see some sort of grappling control and then either a TKO from the position or probably a submission. So, all right, let's move along over here. And I got to get back to my screen. Where am I at? I don't even know. We were talking about bad internet connections earlier. My internet's okay. There we are. All right. Next up, we have Jared Gordon and Thiago Moisés. Gordon is minus 118 and Thiago Moisés is minus 102. I actually think this is lined well because both of these guys are really good. It's just which version of which guy can capitalize on the strengths and weaknesses that they have versus their opponent doesn't. And we've got Moisés, who is not a great striker, but he's tougher than shit. And he can take a beating. And when it comes down to it, he knows, like, man, I got to shoot in, take somebody down, take their back, and choke him out. And we saw that with Melky. We've seen that on numerous occasions. Who did he fight last? I'm just going to run through his record really quickly. He's 8-6 in the UFC. The Trey Ogden win, that was so impressive. And we found out, I think Trey Ogden tore his bicep or his pec or something.
Yeah, in the second round, it was his bicep.
Yeah. But man, I thought Thiago was looking good before that. Like he just, and Ogden has really played above his abilities in the UFC. Like that guy has maximized his output.
He's the opposite of Connor Matthews.
100%. He doesn't have the skills and he just performs. And Matthews probably, I think Trey has better skills than Matthews, but we get it. You have, he lost to Ludovic Klein and Benoit Saint Denis, and then Alvarez Makhachev. So he's losing to really, really, really good guys. But then the guys he's beating, look, he beat Melky, and that was a good one. Melky was short notice. He beat Mitch Ramirez with some leg kicks, and then he beat Trey Ogden, who, I don't know, man, he just had a bad night, and I don't know. But then, like, he finds a way to win. The Michael Johnson thing, man, he was getting murked, and then goes out there, jumps, leg lock, finds a way to win. Then you have Jared Gordon, who is another guy who just competes above his athleticism, his technical abilities. Like, man, I thought he won that Nasrat fight.
I did too.
I thought he looked great. I thought he won the Patty fight. And then, he was beating Grant Dawson, and then Dawson was like, hey, I got to actually beat this guy. He's got a good jab. He was beating Bobby Green before that fight got called. I think everyone on the planet was Bobby Green's going to win this fight, his jab, his movement. How's he going to get a hold of him? And man, Jared Gordon is starching him on the feet. Not starching, but we were all going, oh, glad it was a no contest, because Bobby Green was losing that fight in a stand-up battle against Jared Gordon. And man, it's kind of, if Moisés doesn't get the takedown and get the submission, I think Gordon gets the decision. I don't know that he's going to get a finish because Gordon's not that finishing guy. He is tough as nails, and Moisés will slow down. But man, that thought of Moisés going in and getting that takedown is scary, and it's going to be scary probably all through the fight in different moments, because it's not like it's all energy with him. A lot of times he'll shoot and he'll turn the corner, and so you think, okay, we're good here. I lean Gordon on this. Honestly, this is a flip a coin and see who wins it for me. I got to go with Gordon for nothing. He's old, and that's another thing I don't like. He is old.
Yeah.
But Gordon does the right stuff. He's got the cardio. He's got the ability in terms of, like, his striking is good. He's got a good jab. He's very fundamentally sound. He can wrestle. He's hard to submit. He checks all of the boxes. He's not a world beater, but I feel like Thiago Moisés is what his strengths are. He's a lot more misaligned. Like, his strengths are much better than Jared Gordon's, and that's his jiu-jitsu. But his weakness is his cardio and his willingness to kind of play off his back and not do it. I'm going Jordan here, but I don't even know if I feel good about it.
I couldn't have a more agreeing opinion on this fight, if that's just the worst way I could possibly say that. I completely agree with you. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out. My biggest fear is Jared Gordon might have the record for the UFC stealing from him.
Right.
Like we could be calling for a title shot from this guy if they had just not taken from him. You know what I mean? Because they put him in bad fights against real tough competition. And then even when he wins some of those, he gets robbed on the judges' scorecards. He's the guy that is the Huckleberry. They know they can throw him in and they know they can rob him. And he'll say, thanks, boss, and come back and do it again next week. So That's the worry that I've got, is that this fight ends up being really close, because I think he's a much better striker and his boxing is put together better than Thiago. So on the feet, I would give the edge to Jared. I worry a little bit about the durability. I worry a little bit about the age. But if nothing goes crazy in that area, Thiago's going to have to get it to the ground to really have a huge advantage over Jared. And Jared's no slouch on the mat. Like, I think he might be a good enough wrestler to compete with Thiago in the scrambles. And so it's just like the pure jujitsu. Like, if he can get his back or something, then Jared's in trouble. But if Jared can keep him off his back or put Thiago on his back, I think Jared Gordon could win this fight. Man, I'll never forgive the last time Jared Gordon was booked was against Nursulton Ruziboev's worse younger brother, and that was a generational wealth spot. Like,
Yeah.
if they had let that bum get into the cage, that was like let me take a second mortgage out on the house and go real quick, get a 10% return here, because he was going to destroy that man, and he unfortunately couldn't make it to the cage. So that got canceled and missed out on the opportunity. But I feel like Jared Gordon is going to get this one, man. After a couple canceled fights, after a tough split decision loss, like, this is the one where he can go out there and get himself a legitimate victory. The only concern I have, again, is Thiago's moving out with the fighting nerds these days, and they're all the hotness.
Yep.
That if it's close, they might rob you.
Yeah.
But I'm with you.
Absolutely.
Jared Gordon.
I think my biggest worry on this is that Thiago backpacks him and steals minutes. Not submitting, not punching. He's on his back, and now he's just stealing clock.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move along. There's no time like now. Next up, we have Matheus Camilo versus Gabe Green. Fight odds has Gabe Green at plus 195 and Matheus Camilo at minus 230. Who do you have winning this and why?
You know, I gotta go with Matheus. I've gotta side with the favorite here, the 24-year-old kid. But it's more of a hunch than anything. Like, I feel like we're paying Shark Tank prices on this kid. Like, we don't know that he's worth minus 250 right now. But that's still kind of what they're expecting us to pay on him anyway, because they say he's that good. I like what I've seen from him, but anytime you get a kid making their UFC debut, you wonder level of competition, like, you know what I mean? So, like, I know he does a lot well. I like his overall skill set from what I've seen, but does that translate at the UFC level? That's the question. Gabe Green is the guy that'll test that. The dude's got a motor on him. He can wrestle. He's a 500 fighter in the UFC, and now he's dropping back down, it looks like, to 155, where I think that's a better weight class for him. Assuming he can make the cut, he might be able to bully this kid around the cage, is something I'm a little worried about. But the one thing that does kind of have me a little bit sketched out, Gabe Green is older, and he's coming off one of just the most brutal knockouts you've ever seen. He ran face first into Brian Battle's right hand, and now he's been gone for 2 years. And I'm like, man, at 32 years old, you dip out for 2 years after a KO like that. I'm worried about his durability. He's already been knocked out 3 times anyway, so it's not like he was the most durable guy running to begin with. And then on top of that, it seems like he's found God. And I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm a person of faith, you know what I mean? So, like, I'm not knocking on it or anything like that. It's good for him. But we see that work one of 2 ways with MMA fighters. I've never seen Rory McDonald look worse than after he started talking about Jesus.
Right.
So, like, some people, you know, you get look at Silva last weekend. Like, the first thing she does is jump on the microphone, smile, and shout out God. Like, it's wind in her sails. But other people, especially battle-torn MMA fighters, when they find God, like, later in life, I feel like they lose their edge. I feel like they don't want to hurt people anymore.
I think what it is to me is, like, you get a Silva who's probably always been religious and all glory to God and all of these things. It's when you get the reformed people that, like you said, later in their career become very religious. And it's not that they're religious. That I don't think has anything to do with it. It's something is transformed within them. And you get somebody who was a fighter, who was whatever they were. That's what got them to the UFC, whatever version of them is there. And then something happens where they've got a shift. And now all of a sudden you have a very different mindset of things. And something must have happened for Gabe Green to think, oh, I need to make a big shift. I need to make a big change in life. And it's always nerve-wracking to wonder what type of shift people have. And I've got friends who were just regular, normal people, and they drank too much, and then all of a sudden they stop drinking, they find God, and they become really religious, but then that is their alcohol. And then now you can't even have a conversation with them without it being this overly spiritual God. And you're like, wait, what, dude? We're watching football, buddy. Like, we don't need to do it. But then that becomes their identity, and there's this weird shift. And now all of a sudden things change. Now, in this situation, if we take the God and the shift and the layoff out, okay, and I know those are things to look at, but man, I am not impressed with Matheus, and I thought he lost that decision out in Korea. I was not impressed with him. I thought he got taken down. I thought I was less impressed with him and more unimpressed with his opponent for gassing and just kind of putting on a bad show and not winning that fight when he could have. And Matheus he's going to decisions. He's very reactionary. He stays on the outside. He waits for you to mess up. And really we saw in his last fight is he let his opponent just get tired wrestling, and then he was able to like land some strikes. Whereas you said Gabe Green as a motor. I mean, Gabe Green is like, he's not amazing at all. He's just a tough dude who's in your face and is going to grind. That said, he's got his losses in the UFC are to Brian Battle, a decision to Ian Machado Gary, and a decision to D-Rod. I mean, he beat Phil Rowe, who's very decent. You know what I mean? He's a very decent fighter. He beat Johan Lioness, who was almost put him on death's door, and then came back and, cardioed him and put him away. I like Gabe Green for the upset. A lot could go wrong here. I'm not on the Matheus train. I think he got signed on. Dana White's looking for a fight because really they wanted somebody to beat him. The Russian kid or Kazakhstan, whatever he was, that kid who was really cocky. And if you knew the stories about him in Korea, about how many people he was trying to get in the show, like he was not, they did not want that guy to win. Like he was an asshole and he was not the guy. I'm going Gabe Green here for the upset. And I know it's wild.
Hey, I respect it. I get it. And if you told me that Gabe Green's pastor was John Jones and he was doing a bump of coke before they did communion and he was going to get in the cage, same old Gabe Green, I'm kind of with you. I like it. I think I'm a little bit more interested in this kid moving forward than you are. But I told everybody on my show, this is one of those ones where I'm taking notes. You know what I mean? I don't need to dive in and pay this price tag on Matheus when we don't know yet. So we'll see. I'm keeping my hands in my pocket for this one.
All right. Next up, we've got Julian Erosa and I'm not even saying his full, Melky Costa.
Melky.
And Erosa is plus 157 and Costa is minus 182. And I'm shocked at the odds here. What's your thought on this fight, and what do you think about the odds? Because I'm really intrigued about the way that this is lined.
Yeah, so I think that Julian Erosa is a double-edged sword, and eventually the bill is going to come due. He's my favorite glass cannon. Like, this guy's got no durability whatsoever. The Alex Bruce Leroy Caceres has one UFC KO, and it's this guy. Like, he goes out there, balls to the wall, every single fight, foot on the gas pedal, and God love him, it works more often than it doesn't for him. But at 35, 36 years old, he's on this 3-fight win streak of all round one finishes. And I just don't think it's sustainable, man. I think this is like a roulette wheel, right? Like it goes red, 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 red. I'm like, black's coming, baby. Melquizael Costa, they like this kid. For whatever reason, I don't know if it's his notoriety, the skin thing. They seem to really like Melky Costa, and he's 28 years old. He's at Shootbox. He's getting better. His ground game is nasty. His kicking game seems like it's improving and getting better. This feels like the come out of your box fight, right? Like, so he beat C-Rod, and that hurt my soul. I had C-Rod that night. I really thought he was going to be able to get it done. But this is, I feel like, the spot where he's going to throw a kick that Juicy J just runs face first into or something like that. And we say KO number 8. Like, I think eventually they're going to get to a point where they have to bang it out. And Melky will be the slightly more durable guy, and he'll land the shot before Julian Erosa does. It's a bit of a coin flip when people go life and death like that. So you don't normally want the minus 200 favorite. But the younger guy, the more well-rounded guy, who I believe is the slightly more durable guy. Like, I think Melky probably wins this one.
See, I think I'm on the other side of this, and it doesn't even seem right because you're right because he has that glass jaw, like he can be put away. But Melky's cardio to me is a little suspect, and Julian and Erosa will push the pace, and I think Melky's got to finish this in round one if he's going to. But the thing is Melky tends to grapple in round one, and then we'll start to strike and we'll start to do more. And I don't know that he's going to submit Erosa round one. And Erosa likes the chaos, and he does well in there. And we saw Melky get hit quite a bit in that chaos, especially with Christian. Honestly, I think, and I'm biased here, so you guys take this with a very, very, very small grain of salt. I thought I thought Christian could have won that fight. But I thought it was more Christian getting gassed out than it was Melky winning the fight. And we've seen Christian at 145 twice now at elevation, and that has not fared well for him. I think he's a C-level fighter, and it's crazy because he runs a lot. He generally has really good cardio, and he's actually kind of known as the cardio guy. Look at what he did with Raul. Look at what he did with Bulgarian. I mean, he's the guy who's outlasting the guys and then beating them. I don't know if it's the 45-pound weight class, if it's the elevation or what, but I think it's more of a C-Rod had a bad night versus Melky had an amazing night. And I think Erosa is just there. I think his jiu-jitsu is good. I don't think he's getting submitted by Melky. And I think if Melky wins, it's got to be a KO. But again, Melky's grappling round one. And so now, I mean, is Melky going to go out there, start swinging and going and find, like, I like Erosa's length. I like his movement. He never stops like moving. And then the guys that he is losing to, I mean, Caceres, like that was just fucking timed well. And then you have Fernando Padilla, who's a dynamic, good striker as well. Dude, he beat Hakeem Dawodu. That is a really, really, really good win. And he beat Steven Peterson. He beat Charles Jourdain. He beat Ricardo Ramos. He beat C-Rod, and he beat Darren Elkins. And Darren Elkins is a dinosaur. Pending we don't see an early, like, fragile Erosa, I like Erosa here for the upset as well.
Okay. I respect it. I'm always waiting for Julian to get clipped on the channel.
I know. And if Melky went out there and was swinging, hey, I'm in. But even let's look at Melky's win. I mean, that Shylon fight, man, like Shylon died. The Andre Fili fight, I mean, Andre just like jumped into a guillotine. Beating him the whole, I mean, it looked great. And then was like, here, I put too much money on the dive. Let me go take it.
What a weird guillotine that was.
That was weird.
He just like crawled into it.
Yeah. Here, let me help you out here. You're not quite getting it right. I like Erosa for the upset. And now, who do we have? Oh, Nursulton Ruziboev against Dustin Stoltzfus. Ruziboev is minus 281, and Dustin Stoltzfus is plus 241. And Stoltzfus, dude, this is another guy who is just outliving all of his. I mean, he's doing more with what he has than anyone else on the planet.
I love Dustin.
Dude, he knocked Marc-Andre Barriol out in Mab's world of let's hockey fight and see who falls first, and Mab fell. And then he was beating Bruno Ferreira and then those two spinning elbows hit him. And then the Puna fight, holy shit. I mean, he's doing well.
It goes back further than that. Dude, he was dominating Gerald and Rodolfo.
Yep.
He was up 2 rounds on both those guys.
You're right.
And then he just died in round 3.
I mean, it's just wild. He's 3-5 in the UFC. Dude, he's legitimately really good. But the issue is he's fighting a really tall, really dynamic guy across the cage. And that's where he struggles, is with really fast, dynamic guys who can put you away. And, I mean, look, Nursulton, or whatever the hell, I can't even say. How do you even say this dude's name?
Nursulton Ruziboev is the right way to pronounce it, actually.
See, I thought it was Ruziboev when he first got to the UFC. I thought that. And, I mean, he beat Mechanico, who's not amazing, by any means, and he did what he should have done. He beat Dumas, not amazing. And he one-punched Bruno Ferreira.
That was the ref's fault, though.
And exactly, the Dumas one was weird.
He got poked right in the eye, and the ref was like, "Nah, you're good."
My most impressive thought of Nursulton is actually his loss to Joaquin Buckley, where, man, he was landing some good shots, but the most impressive part is Buckley would take him down, and Nursulton was right back up. He was right back up quite a bit in round 1 and a little bit of round 2, and then he was there a little bit longer. Dustin has really good top control and good jiu-jitsu and good grappling. I don't know that he has the wrestling unless he starts catching a kick or something like that to put Nursulton down. So I think Nursulton's height is going to be hard for Stoltzfus to deal with, and I think his ability to get back up early is going to be something to deal with. And the thing with Buckley, people don't give that guy enough credit, is he would take Nursulton down, he'd pop right back up, and then he'd take him down again and again and again. And most people, when you take them down and they pop back up, they do not shoot the way that Buckley did. And Buckley he has improved so much over his tenure in the UFC that I really
love Buckley 2.0.
Right? I really do believe he's become a top fighter and a really well-rounded fighter. But I think Nursulton's length and I think his speed from the outside, I think, is going to give Stoltzfus a lot of trouble. And I'm going Nursulton here. Yeah.
So it's funny, man. Like I said, I call him Ruziboev, and I look for every opportunity I can to fade him. I bet big on Cedric Dumas that night. I feel like I was robbed because the referee didn't stop the fight. Doubled down on Buckley and got it back. So I feel good about that. This guy's got 2 weapons. He's got a fast right hand. And if he doesn't land that thing in round 1, he doesn't know what else to throw. That's the thing. He kind of gets lost over the course of the fight if he doesn't get you out of there early. And then he's got a Kimura. He really likes his Kimura, but he attacks it off of his back. So he uses it to reverse, to stand up, to sweep. It's kind of a weapon for him in that way. On the regional scene, he was submitting people with that thing because they didn't know what to do with it, right? And at 170, he's long, he's big, he's strong. That shit's not going to work in the UFC, though. So I don't think we can count on him Kimuraing BJJ black belt Dustin Stoltzfus here in this spot. So the question for me, though, is Nursulton is moving up to 185 pounds. I kind of suspect he's a tweener. I think he's too skinny for 185, but then he's too big for 170. So I think he's going to really struggle down the runway here at the UFC level. And I am going to be here waiting with a bag to just catch all the money that falls when this guy finally starts to show his real colors. But I don't think this is it, because Dustin Stoltzfus was put in this position by the UFC a couple of years ago. He got to welcome Abus Magomedov to the UFC. And yeah, he's too slow. If you're fast and you're athletic and you start quick, that's what's going to catch this guy. And I thought Marc-Andre Barrios was going to, beat him into next week. I couldn't believe he caught Marc-Andre with a big shot like that. But I feel like that was a little fluky. I feel like that was a little lucky. I don't think that's indicative of what Stoltzfus can do on a regular basis. You know what I mean? So I really think Nursulton's going to nuke him in round 1 just by being faster. But the fade will come. His next fight or two at 185, if he hangs around, I think that's when we can bet against this guy, just not this week.
Yeah. I like Nursulton. I like KO. I also like Sodiq Yusuff, who's up next. So let's move along because we've got just a couple more, not too much. We haven't.
I'm a little long-winded. I apologize. I'm dragging your show
we're
late
good.
Here.
We have not done too poorly in our pacing. We've got Sodiq Yusuff, and then we've got the other kind of young Brazilian kid at Extreme, Mairon Santos. And let me look at this. Mairon Santos minus 143, and Sodiq Yusuff is plus 123. Who do you like in this fight?
This one's weird. I like this fight. I really like this fight. But Sodiq Yusuff has settled into kind of a gatekeeper role. It seems like he struggles with the upper echelon guys, the Barbosa, Lopez. I think he's just low-key a little bit chinny. I think he's just slightly, not the most durable guy.
We saw Arnold Allen hurt him.
Yeah.
We've seen him get hurt actually a good amount. We saw, of course, Diego knocked him out. Arnold Allen hurt him. We've seen that before. That's not new to see that out of him.
Yeah, and that's where it kind of worries me, just because at any point it's kind of like Julian Erosa. At any point he could just go, But then you give him a step down in competition, you give him a little break, and he's messing people up. Alex Caceres, Don Chanis, Andre Fili, those guys are all handling him. This Marion Santos kid, he's 24 years old. He's Extreme Couture, which is a great gym. Seems like he's got some pop in his hands. everybody and their mom was on Francis Marshall last time out, and it went to split. It was close. Everyone's calling robbery. Like, it's
I
real
thought he got
weird.
robbed. I thought Francis Marshall won the striking battle against him, and I thought Francis won that fight.
Yeah, I did too. And it's crazy because then you turn around and now he's a favorite. This one, it feels like such a trap to me that he's a favorite in this spot, getting a massive step up in competition after winning a greasy split against a short notice guy like Francis, who's a grappler. Like, I don't know what to do with it, man. I'm hoping you can clear it up a little bit because it's dog or pass for me. Like, it's Sodiq or nothing. I don't think I'm going to bet this fight because something smells funny. I like Marion Santos's, career. I like the outlook of what he'll be moving forward. I just don't know if he's ready for this level on Saturday.
Give me Sodiq all day here. His competition level, he's going to box. He's going to stay in the pocket. He's going to roll. I like his jab. I like his high guard. Santos is going call him next, second coming of Christ over here, but he's not starching people. He's very reactive. He sits back. He's in a little bit of a Muay Thai stance. He's trying to time your entrance with a kick. Where we saw Sodiq with Barbosa, just in your face going, and he's not going to give you an inch. I think he learned a lesson from that Barbosa fight. And then I think a lot of people didn't realize what they were getting into with the second version of Diego Lopez that came into the UFC. I think a lot of people were still looking at the guy who lost on Contender Series by laying on his back. And that's not the same guy. Like, that Diego is a very different Diego, and that Diego just fought for a title. So can you even hold that against anybody? Not to say he's not chinny. He is. But he's getting chinned by Arnold Allen, Diego Lopez. The other thing that people don't realize is Sodiq can wrestle. He has good jiu-jitsu. He's a Lloyd Irvin guy. And regardless of how many people Lloyd couldn't rape because he couldn't get it up, like, he still has good jiu-jitsu and he still has good guys. So give me Sodiq all day here. I like it. And I like both of these guys are 45ers fighting at 55. So I actually think that's going to help Sodiq here. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to help his chin. I think that's going to help his durability.
I like it. I'm just glad we're not finding out the day of the fight like Jose Aldo pulling that bullshit last week. Where it's, can't make it. You want to do 145 instead?
Yeah, that was weird. I was actually, I wish I could say more about that because I was around hearing people talking about the situation. And apparently Aldo has a long-running medical problem that makes the weight cut really, really hard. And he probably never should have been at 35. I overheard some people talking about it. And yeah, I think him ever fighting at 35 was a risk, and I don't think he ever probably should have been there.
Yeah.
But next up we've got. Oh, what's
I'm
that?
glad he hung it up. I'm glad he hung it up. It was getting to that point. It was getting a little sad. I didn't want to see
my
him
heroes
take a beating.
lose, man.
Yeah.
Next up we have the Bear Jew. All right, Paul Craig, which don't at me. I'm not Bryce Mitchell over here, so you guys just calm down. This isn't my doing. Against Rodolfo Bellato. And we've got Paul Craig is plus 400 and Bellato's minus 550. And holy shit, man, I want to say Paul Craig here. I want anything Paul Craig, not Paul Craig. I want anything anti-Bellato. I do not think Bellato's good. I think he is slower than bones fossilize at the same rate that Bellato throws punches. He is his head never moves. It's just right there always. And he's so square and he punches so slow. God, I am not on him, man. I mean, Ihor was beating him up.
Ihor had him on death's door, man.
God.
He was on all fours.
Like, how? And then you have Paul Craig, who's, first of all, how old is Paul Craig? He's 37.
Moving back up to 205.
Yeah, back up to 205. Like, watching him against these guys just getting, punched with, the slowest bad form kicks there are. The thing I will say about Paul Craig is watching him just bum rush Kyle and take him down right off the bat. I mean, we could see that against Bellato, and if he does, I could see him getting a submission on him. TKO, triangle, gets mount, beats him up. Gosh, I mean, we saw him beat Muniz, who just got tired and faded out. And Paul Craig is bad and will get tired, but not Muniz tired. Muniz will death gas. Gosh, I like Paul Craig. I like his hands are faster than Bellato's. Like everything is like I want to say Paul Craig, but I can't. I cannot say Paul Craig because I think Bellato will just kind of be there and catch a kick and punch him once, and Paul Craig falls down. I'm not happy about it. I think Bellato wins. I wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole. Honestly, the only way I would do this is if you had a little bit of money that you were just wanting to gamble, like lotto ticket style, and throw on Paul Craig at plus 400 by submission or inside the distance or something like that. Because I think Bellato, the second he fights somebody with a pulse who can drive 55 miles an hour or anything above the speed limit, is that's it. So I'm curious to see this fight, but I got to go Bellato, but I'm not happy about it in the least.
I'm here for the chaos, man. This is going to be a complete meme fight, no matter who wins. Both these guys are awful. Paul Craig is old and he's busted. His ground and pound is awesome these days. He's got that nuclear jiu-jitsu. He can always snap something off on anybody. And Bellato's just bad. He's really bad, and he's slow, and he's heavy, and he steps in front of you, and he just wants to bite on the mouthpiece and throw down. And unfortunately, that's worked on Paul Craig before. The Alonzo Minifield fight, where he threw 4 spinning back fists in a row and then got caught. I'll never forget losing money that night on Paul Craig, and I said never again. But man, I think the under 1.5 is the play here. I think Bellato's going to bite down, walk forward, force Paul into a fight, and Paul's either going to double leg this guy, and Rodolfo seems dumb enough to go to the ground with somebody like Paul, where most people, Bo Nickel will avoid the grappling. I don't think Bellato will. So I kind of think we'll end up in a ground scramble at some point, and it honestly would not shock me if we get like a round 1 reversal TKO from Paul Craig, and I'm here for it. I want to see it.
I'm in, man. Please let that happen, because I don't like her just like Paul Craig. I actually kind of like him just in his.
He's fun.
I like Paul Craig like I like Ian Kutalaba. They're just crazy apes, and I like that. I like that with my fights. I think Bellato's the guy here, but. All right, you guys. Next up, we have our main event. We have Michael Morales and Gilbert Burns. And I just want to say again, Clint, thanks for coming on. Die Hard MMA. You guys can at Die Hard MMA Pod on all your socials. You guys can find Clint there. Brandon, unfortunately, is going to be back at some point. But man, any day he's not, we are happy to have you on and thankful that you came on, especially kind of short notice.
The show is way too white without him, but I appreciate it anytime.
And Brandon's like the whitest Mexican there is, so I don't even consider that. But we've got Michael Morales in our main event. Anything you want to plug before we hit this?
No, I just wanted to say thank you again. This has been really, really cool for me. And I know before we started the show, I was fanboying a little bit because I watched you on The Ultimate Fighter, and I've been a fan for a long time. And obviously, my listeners know I champion Fight Ready. I love you guys and the fighters and the work you guys do there and stuff. So it's just been really cool for me to hang out with you and talk fights. So I appreciate the invite. This has been really fun.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I appreciate it. And the only thing that I'm not certain of is having you on is I feel like I'm not going to get canceled. When I have Brandon on, everything that he says, I'm like, I don't think we can say that. And with you, at no point did I feel like I was going to get canceled. So I appreciate that. Thank you for not getting me canceled
or
pleasure. Getting me yelled at by my wife.
I'm a middle-aged, balding white guy. Like, I can't be too risky, man.
You're as vanilla as it gets. So, all right, here's for the vanilla boys out there. We got Gil Burns plus 570 against Michael Morales, which is minus 820. That's insane to me, that line. I would assume Morales would be a favorite, but those odds, Gilbert Burns is losing to Sean Brady, Jack Della, Bilal, and Michael Morales he beat Neil Magny, all right, decision Jake Matthews, decision Max Griffin, beat Adam Fugit in the 3rd round, beat Trevin Giles, who's chinny as well, and of course decision in Contender. I I'm not usually this big on all these dogs, but I thought Gilbert looked really bad in his last few fights physically. And so he's old. I get it, man. He's old. And then I was like, well, let me just see where he's at, because I want to see where he was at and what he was training, because a lot of the people have left Killcliff. Greg Jones isn't the wrestling coach there anymore. A lot of people have moved away. Jared Gordon is not there anymore. Gerald Mearshart is not there anymore. A lot of people have left. So I was curious, like, where's Burns at? Who's he training with? What's going on? And then I saw pictures of him, and he looked leaner than he has in his last 3 fights. I don't care if it's just diet, taking it seriously, or steroids. There's a big physical transformation with what we have seen just in the stomach. Like, so there's that. And then you get a guy, Gilbert can wrestle. Gilbert can everything there is, and he's got the calf kicks. And my issue with Michael Morales is he fights to other people's level of competition, and he lets them dictate whatever's going to happen. He's just comfortable being everywhere, and he will allow any fight to happen anywhere. And then he does a good job of when it's, all right, I got to turn it on, where he starts swinging on people and hurting them and doing the stuff. Gilbert's always had a great low kick. He's always been able to wrestle his ass off. The issue with older fighters is that dynamic explosiveness of the wrestling tends to go away. And Gilbert was a blast double guy. You know, in his older age, we haven't seen him be quite as dynamic in a lot of stuff. But I will say one thing, and this is a long time ago. This is 4 years ago. So in fight Brazilian years, it was the dinosaur age, okay? He was really impressive in his win over Stephen Thompson against a tall, rangy guy who's hard to take down, who does a lot of the right stuff, who's hard to get inside on. And he just grabbed him and pushed him against the cage and dragged him down again and again and again. This is against a guy who I think is a little overconfident, against a guy who is willing to let other people fight their fight. Man, give me Gilbert Burns for one last rodeo. And especially at those odds, even forget about the odds. It's a pick 'em. And if Morales was in there putting Max Griffin out, okay, I'll take him. But I mean, he's letting these guys stay in. And if you let a guy like Gilbert Burns stay in, the thing with old people, I know because I'm old, I'm 42, and I've been training my entire life, is if you let me be comfortable and you mess with me at my pace, I will win. Even to this day, I go in and I train with UFC fighters all the time, and I beat them all the time. And the ones I can't beat, or who I have a really, really hard time with, are the ones that are like, they put a pace on me. I cannot keep up with the speed, and I cannot keep up with the pace. If you play at my pace, oh man, I'm happy with it. And I think if Morales allows Gilbert to do Gilbert, he's in for a long night. And we've seen a lot of undefeated fighters lose this year. I think I saw a stat, it was like 20 or 21 O's went this year, something crazy like that. I think this is going to be a Daniel Zellhuber fight, where Daniel Zellhuber came in, all of us were super high on him, and Trey Ogden went out there and beat him with a jab, because I don't think Ogden beat Zellhuber. I think Zellhuber didn't fight the right fight, and Trey Ogden fought the right fight. And I think Morales is going to realize after this fight, I am on the level. I'm as good as these people, but I cannot let them fight their fight. I need to do me. So unless Morales puts him away in the first 8 minutes, I see Gilbert winning this.
Yeah. I know you said forget the odds, but for me, like, that's kind of the whole thing. I would be picking Morales to win, right? Like, but from a betting perspective, it's dog or pass. You can't get to minus 800 on Morales here, in my opinion. I've always thought that Gilbert Burns, maybe a little like low-key chinny type of situation where, you've seen him get cracked, you've seen him get wobbled a bunch, but man, then he goes out there and he goes to war with Hamzat of all people. And they just laid into each other. 120 plus significant strikes apiece over 15 minutes. Didn't slow down, didn't get tired, didn't get hurt, nothing. That, like, Jack obviously is incredible. We just saw what he was able to do to Bilal. He's the champion now. Like, getting TKO'd in round 3 by that guy, like, there's no shame in that. Michael Morales doesn't fight that way. Like, this kid needs a clean fight. And I know he's coming off beating Neil Magny, but Neil Magny's toast. Like, he's got nothing left to give. So I don't think he's going to do...
piece of paper just recently beat Neil Magny.
Yeah. His losing streak continues. I don't think that Gilbert Burns is anywhere near as shot as Neil Magny is. The thing that worries me is the 5 rounds. And I know that's weird because the experienced veteran in 5 rounds is probably the guy that's got the edge there. But I'm worried that Gil doesn't get rid of Michael Morales and then he catches a second wind. And he's actually the fresher guy all of a sudden in round 4 because Gil is getting old. And that's kind of the thing that scares me, to actually go like really crazy on like, oh, it's Gilbert this week, but I'm kind of with you, man. I think it's a one last ride with the old dog type of situation, and it's not going to be anything big, but if I'm betting this fight at all, it would be the plus money on the Gilbert Burns side of things, just because, yeah, that's the only way that you can do it. I wouldn't be shocked at all if this kid got taken to school on the mat by Gilbert, because he's never fought someone that's a world-class jiu-jitsu player in round 3 who didn't fall down to the first punch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Gil Burns, bet everything you own, mortgage everything, and if you lose, chase Clint. Yeah. Leave me out of it. Man,
Brandon wasn't here to talk me out of it, so blame him.
Thank you for coming on, Clint. I thought it was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time. Happy betting.